Hi, today with us we have a brand which can proudly claim to be one of India's first indigenous denim brands. Since 1992, this brand has been transforming the denim industry. With us, we have Sanjay Vakharia, CEO and co-founder of Spykar, to take us through this brand journey. Welcome, Sanjay.
Thank you so much for having me.
So my first question is, how are you strengthening that Made in India initiative that Spykar has taken back in 1992?
So as you just said that we are here since 1992 and always we aimed at being one of the more recognized and more the most indigenous kind of a brand that the country would have. We fast forwarded to today's times where a lot of things around us we see is where we find a lot of Indianness coming to the fore. What we've been doing all our lives is what probably a lot of people are now trying to propagate. Very, very proud to say that always Spykar has been at the forefront of being very leading and cutting edge design. We always wanted to be a very contemporary brand, speak to a very young audience, that's a very young Indian audience, and speak to them and serve them through fits which are made specially for Indian bodies. So I think from that perspective, whatever journey we've actually transversed, we've been doing what we have always been proud of, and till date I think we have been pretty honest and sincere to that promise of ours.
Yeah. So Spykar has been here since 1992. So what are some of the trends that you have seen change over the decades, and what are some of the trends that are emerging now that you are seeing?
Oh, so 30 years is too many years.
Yeah.
And if you really see, generations are now moving or passing by us probably in 2 years, unlike what it used to be earlier. So I feel that from that perspective, and especially fashion, it's quite a very flirtatious industry to be in. And trends have evolved, and you also find that certain trends, they come back in a little more and a different avatar. So from that perspective, I think what has been very consistent in the last 30-35 years I've seen is that denim has been a primary staple in our wardrobe, so to speak.
Yeah.
And besides the fits that denim actually is made in, denim as a category has been there in every young guy and girl's wardrobe. That still continues to be there. Obviously, because it's fashion, it's trends, a lot of products come in, a lot of categories come in, they move out. Like for a while we had athleisure, which was very strong. Currently we see a lot of linens all around us, a lot of natural fibers that people are wanting to be sporting. But at the same time, I see a huge amount of resurgence on denims. And a whole lot of experimentation, a whole lot of going back to nature is also happening within the denim category. So yeah, trends do keep evolving, but they actually metamorphose itself in very different shapes and forms and are more cyclical in nature.
So demographically speaking, which cities are your priorities for maybe store expansion now?
So for expansion, I think Spykar has been a very omnipresent brand that way. We've been in the market for the last 30 years. We are very proud to say that every single state or more than 500 cities of country have a Spykar store or a point of sale. But if I have to kind of still narrow it down, I think tier 3, tier 4 markets. I also feel that there are certain categories that Spykar would like to be more present in. We have started a very serious journey on Spykar women's jeanswear. Women's jeanswear has always been part of our portfolio, but in the last 3-4 seasons we've been very, very focused on it. And very glad to say that it's got amazing traction, great fits, and they have been accepted very well by women per se. So I think these are the few areas apart from the geographies which are our focus areas and would be our focus areas.
Yeah. So the company recently came up with Daur Apna Hai campaign. So what is the next phase for the campaign? Will it go beyond digital?
So Daur Apna is basically manifesting what Spykar's state of mind is and what we always believed in. And more so in today's time, I think if I bring it to I actually kind of zoom out, I see that Daur Apnaye could also and is also very applicable to us as Indians. And within Indians, there are micro segments, and hence all these micro segments also are feeling the same. So today's youth, the Indian youth, there are certain communities, there are some communities which are coming up, which are becoming much more vocal, much more present, or much more effective. So Daur Apnaye is a state of mind which applies to all of us in reality, you know. In fact, for you as well, as a person who's part of this very lovely profession, and you will also be subscribing to the thought that this is the time that's meant for you.
Yeah.
You know, and so from a very zoomed out perspective, I think it is something which connects with every single Indian, and I genuinely believe that these are great times for India and Indians at large. And India as a brand has become so large today that brands from India are now the flavor of the world. So I feel Daur genuinely apna hai.
So, you know, nowadays people speak a lot about AI, tech. So, how are you using, you know, tech or data to leverage the company? Because retail and tech are quite opposite, as people know.
In fact, it's not opposite. Actually, there's a great amount of confluence today on retail and tech. So tech, as we all see, is a great enabler. And at Spykar also, right from what do we make in terms of styling, trends, forecasting, we are using a lot of tech and AI to help us come with thoughts and ideas and, you know, collections which are very tuned to what today's audiences want and what we should be doing. At the same time, if you move away from design, move to the more operational areas like production, like, you know, allocation, planning, merchandising, I think a lot of data is being used today much more than what we used to use. Also because tech has enabled us to kind of look into and to consume that data and really work hard on the data to help us perfect our offerings and perfect our you know, production, allocation, everything that kind of is part of the business. So in Spykar, right from designing to a lot of buying and merchandising, and then moving to creating relationships with customers on CRM, a lot of tech is now being employed. And I feel there's a great amount of confluence and there's a great amount of synergies which we can still kind of create between tech and our businesses. So we are just started off on this journey and there's so much more. And as we speak, tech is evolving. So by the time we kind of put something up, sometimes you find that it's obsolete already. So yeah, I mean, there's so much happening. And at Spykar, we are very, very happy to kind of adapt and also to move along with tech.
Yeah. So, you know, the fashion and the clothing industry has always been asked questions about sustainability. So, what are some of the sustainability measures that Spykar is taking?
So, I think any step, however small, in that direction is a good step.
Yeah.
And I believe that we should not have too many lofty ideals on anything. And we should probably practice what we can actually deliver. So from that perspective, we've taken multiple steps on the product side. Denims as a category as an industry has rather been very, very sincere with adopting practices and processes which are very conducive to preserving nature. While we say that landfills is a very large issue, and clothing as a product is one of the highest contributors to the landfill. But within clothing, if we say, denim is the slowest fashion. And because it's slow fashion, the contribution to the landfill also is the least from denim. If you add to this, the way denim has evolved from being made and washed and processed with so much of water now to a time where just a glass of water or probably just steam is good enough to process a pair of jeans. A lot has happened on sustainability as far as denim is concerned. Besides this, all our factories are compliant with respect to social governance and all the environmental norms. So we are very mindful that whatever steps the government have taken, we ensure that we also participate in the same, and also see to it that our partners, our vendors, they're all compliant. And we, as much as we can, we should do our bit towards Mother Nature.
Yeah, that's a lovely insight, sir. So, like you are a legacy brand. So, what are some of the strategies that you have taken to, stay relevant with the Gen Zs?
Gen Zs are a lot spoken about.
Yeah.
I think Gen Zs are also what the baby boomers were at some point of time, and the Gen X were at some point of time. I think every passing generations, the generations evolve a lot more. But deep down out there, I think the few forces which make you a consumer or describe you as a consumer remains the same. So today's audience also is seeking the greatest value for money. I do not think that they are looking for, they have a distinction between a legacy versus a today's brand. They are very smart, and they are people who value a good product and a good value. If it's built in the price, they will always value that. At the same time, they are not so, they're quite independent of the world, that, and they have this whole very individualistic trait. So what defines them, they're not necessarily followers, right? And that's probably that's a distinction which I can make between this current generation and the past generations. So I feel they are not as ruthless or as brutal as the earlier youth was. So today's youth is very accommodative. They are very fair with whatever is being offered to them. If they like you, if they can afford you, and if they feel there is a cause that they also can align with, they would surely be participative of that brand, whether the brand is legacy or whether it's not. So the brand has to take its own course. The brand has to stand today for something. But the brand cannot be not seen as meaning something or being something. So there has to be an identity which a brand should possess and should propagate. And I'm very sure that if the right virtues are there in the brand, I don't think the Gen Zs are averse to legacy brands. So I feel that if you're doing a good job, I think the first people to compliment you would be the Gen Z.
Yeah. So, sir, I'll leave you with one last question. So, what is the company's outlook for the coming maybe 1 year?
I think great times for the country. A lot has been done by our government today in the form of GST. Though I would say that our industry especially has been picked up where little expensive products have now higher GSTs, but also very good of our industry not to really pass on everything to the customer. I just feel that overall consumerism is going to be increasing. I feel India is going to keep shining. I think the audiences and the youth of India is going to be a lot more effective. It's going to be a lot more remunerative, and it's going to be a lot more hungrier than what we were earlier. So I think the next decade, 2 decades, 3 decades, I really don't think we all should worry about it. I mean, this is genuinely the Daur Apna Hai time for India and for Spykar both.
Thank you so much, sir. It was lovely talking with you.
Thank you. My pleasure.